Welcome to Retrained Search, the podcast, where we lift the lid on what it's really like to work retained, discuss the stories we've gathered along the way, and give you all a peek behind the scenes of our amazing community and how they're getting ahead. Hello.
Hey Lou, Happy New Year.
Hey Jordan. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you too. And hey Jess, thanks for joining us.
You bet. Glad to be here.
We're going to come to you in just a moment. Welcome everyone who is listening, and I think there are a few more of you now as we've started to learn.
We might be into double figures.
Nice. Welcome to episode 12 of
The Retrained Search podcast.
Retrained Search podcast. Still quite haven't got the title. Never mind.
Our New Year's resolution is by the end of 2024, we actually want to know what the podcast is called.
Yeah.
That'd be good, wouldn't it?
Yeah, to be able to actually get that right. That would be good. Anyway, yeah, welcome everyone and welcome to 2024. How are you doing, George?
I'm all right.
Back at work.
I'm happy to be back in the seat after Christmas. I love Christmas. It's nice. But I'm a fan of routine. Now that period in between Christmas and New Year where kind of no one knows what day it is and no one quite knows when they're going back to work stresses me out. It stresses me out, that stuff. So I'm glad to be back in the seat.
Jess probably knows why that stresses you out.
Yeah, Jess.
Why does that sudden out, Jess?
Oh, he's a man of action. When things get when he gets stuck, it's painful. Like put the man in traffic and he's like losing his mind.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're out. Jess knows me better than anybody else that I've ever met in my life, including my family. We'll come on to why.
Why in a minute. Yeah, we will.
Yeah. But how was your Christmas?
It was good. I did very, very, very little. I went on holiday just before Christmas to Morocco, which was fantastic, and saw Marrakesh. Never been there before. Have you ever been?
Nice.
You ever been, George?
No, I've never been. No, I think the only place I've ever been kind of over in that direction is Dubai.
Have you been, Jess?
No, never.
Never. Yeah, it's really incredible, actually. Incredible, really full on. We kind of dipped out the resort, had a day in Marrakesh, and then went, that was amazing, but let's get out of here and chill out again. It was really, really amazing. The souks, the Medina, snake charmers, and incredible. Absolutely amazing. Really good.
Yeah.
And then
just like you would expect, like the kind of the vision I have of it.
Yeah.
I remember going to Egypt years ago, and everyone says, "Oh yeah," and they try and buy your wife off you for camels and stuff like that. You're like, "Yeah, of course they do." And then you go, and you're like, "Oh my god, they actually try and buy your wife off you for camels."
They actually do. Yeah, it was good. It's nice to be back. It's so nice to be back with the team and catching up with everybody and just remembering the big hug that you feel when you're back in the fold with everybody. And I can't wait to see everyone because we've got our 90-day meeting tomorrow, in fact, and we're all getting together face to face to do our quarterly meeting because we use the EOS operating model, which we love. And I can't wait for that. And it's been an amazing start to the year, hasn't it? It was a tough year last year for a lot of people. And a lot of people said to me they had the hardest year that they've had, sometimes forever. And some people, just in the last kind of 5 to 10 years. And this year started a bit differently, hasn't it, George?
Yeah, it has. Seems really, really positive. I think everyone we speak to, our members, the people I'm speaking to that are interested in joining us, they're all really, really positive about the market, what they're seeing, the conversations they're having with customers. So after what for a lot of people was, I'm not going to say a shit year, but it was a tough year, tougher than the couple of years previous. Hopefully things are starting to move in the right direction again this year.
Are you busy at the moment, Jess?
Yeah, I came back to 2 projects we got awarded after the break. I opened my email and 2 to move forward with. So yeah, we're ready to grow. We're looking to bring on another recruiter this first quarter.
Nice,
I
exciting
love
time.
it. I love it. Very nice.
Exciting times. Yeah, that leads us nicely into, I suppose, probably the wins of the week, right, Lou? While you bring them up, though, I've got to tell
Yeah.
you, how cool is this, yeah? So, I'm a big football fan. You guys will call it soccer, right? And yesterday we went out for lunch, me and a couple of the guys from the team. And my password, I'm not going to tell you exactly what my password is, but for like most of my stuff, references my favourite player for Liverpool, who I'm a fan of. And we walked into this restaurant, sat down, and he was sitting on the table next to me. And I was going to the team, no, you always say, who's this Virgil guy? I was like, that's him, him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I've never really understood why your password was that. And I mean, I don't know who the guy is, but you
Yeah.
were quite excited. Kirsty was quite excited as well, wasn't
For all you hackers listening, yeah, just go through the Liverpool team 1 to 20 and try a different combination. You'll probably find one of my passwords somewhere.
it?
Just curious,
Jordan.
Jordan, is that your banking password too?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're not going to get much out of that, Jess. You can have it, especially after Christmas.
Especially after Christmas with a baby that needs trainers.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's got lots of trainers. Yeah, she can't even wear them yet.
Oh, she's so cute. Oh, she's so adorable. Myself and my daughter had to go and see her. My daughter Emily was craving some baby time, so we had to go all the way over to Warrington to see Jordan, his baby. It was lovely.
It's nice.
Yes, it does lead us nicely in. There's been some nice, lovely green shoots as a start to the year. Here is one of them. This is Tom. And I've learned now to read them out for those that don't watch the video and listen instead. He says, "Hi Lou, hope you had an amazing Christmas and New Year. Quick update from me. We had a great 2023, our biggest turnover of business to date, and all retained. And this was a firm that was fully contingent when they came to us. So they've gone 100% retained since then. We signed off on 4 100K plus searches with new and existing clients. We produced an updated capability deck, which he attaches to share and says we can share that with our members, which we have done, which we use to discuss with our clients via Teams, should we not be able to see them face to face. Here's to a bigger 2024. And he says, all the best to the retrain team for this year. Keep smashing it.
What I love about that, every time I speak to someone that's looking to join us, I always try and kind of understand where are they trying to get to with it.
Yeah.
Like, what's the end goal? And honestly, they almost always say, oh, well, I'd love to be 100% retained. But realistically speaking, if I could be 50% retained,
Yeah.
and it's like they don't think it's possible to be 100% retained. Normally, after about 2 months, that mindset's changed. They're like, yeah, I'm never working contingently ever again.
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly it. Oh yeah, this is Brett, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, this is really nice. He says the title he's in a difficult. It's been a difficult space. Was hit very hard last year, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was.
Is finally exclamation mark times 4 or 5. Hey everyone, happy new year to everyone. I hope we all have a better 2024 than we did in 2023. He had a very tough year. Just wanted to share that I have finally, after months of trying, won my first true retainer with a well-funded startup in the AI space for a CTO role.
Nice role.
Really nice project. It comes with the promise of a head of engineering and a head of product to follow, which is even nicer, isn't it? So just wanted to share and say thank you to Lou Archer and the team, as I never would have felt comfortable pitching retainers without this course and the community. And it's so true, isn't it? So many people say the course is great, but the community is what really makes it magic. Because he then goes to say there were times when I started to doubt if it was as much, if there was as much of a market for this as I thought. And then seeing people like, and I've anonymized that just to protect their privacy. And he mentions one of the members and others share their success stories, gave me hope to keep going. So I'm hoping this post does the same for everyone else that are still working on winning their first. Sorry, George, I cut you off then.
Trying to remember what I was going to say now. Oh yeah, I was gonna say that the community is a massive part of it, right? Because some people win the first retainer really, really quickly.
Yeah.
It can happen in the first couple of weeks, and sometimes it can take 6 months. But like seeing other people similar winning shows them that it's possible, gives them the motivation to keep going. And I suppose in a way, that's the reason we share these at the start of every podcast, right? To keep
Yeah.
all of you guys going as well and to show you that it's possible and that you can do it.
Exactly. And all these people are in different parts of the world. They're all in different spaces, all in different industries. Oh, this is a nice one from Lucy. It's titled Win, exclamation mark, exclamation mark. First retainer of 2024, won. All of this is happening this year, by the way, and we're what, week one? First week back in January.
Yeah.
Also, the first new client retainer I've won in a while. It's been mostly repeat business at the end of 2023, so I'm super happy. And lastly, Jam, New Year win. Happy New Year, everyone. Hope you have a good one. My first day back today, and I've got 6 searches signed off this morning with 1 client. Great start to 2024. My VA is putting together my confirmationers brief as we speak. And so,
Nice.
there are those of you out there that may be a little bit slow off the blocks. There is retained work out there, and that was the purpose of sharing those with you. There's a nice, lovely flurry of activity to start the year, and hopefully that's the sign of things to come.
Absolutely.
So, without further ado, I'd like to come to you, Jess, because we're so happy to have you here, and thank you for taking your precious time up to come and see us. You have had an unconventional arrival at the search world, haven't you? Tell us a little bit about your journey, if you will.
Yeah, to say the least. So I tell you, it starts way back. I grew up in a blue collar family. And I say blue collar because my dad was an electrician, my grandfather was an electrician, I have an uncle who was a plumber, cousins that are plumbers. And I like to say I'm the white sheep of the family. I started my first business right out of high school, but I knew nothing about managing people. An uncle that he was promoted to foreman. And then the first day on the job, at the end of the day, he fired anybody that wasn't dirty because he was the plumber. And he figured if they weren't dirty, they must not have worked that day. So that's kind of the mentality that I grew up in terms of people and managing people. So I started a contracting business. That was 1993. And, I'm driven, I'm going to rule the world, but turnover was just rampant. Like if I had an office manager that lasted more than 90 days, like my team considered it success. So I in a network similar to Retrained search, actually, in the network, and heard this consultant speak, and he was a professional behavioral analyst. And he's talking about, aligning people's behaviors and values to what the job rewards. So I'm like, this is great. So I go up to him afterwards and I said, listen, I need your help. He said, what's that? I said, you got to help me stop hiring stupid people. And he goes, what are you talking about? I'm like, look, if I can do that, I'm going to be like a millionaire, And he goes, all right, I want you to take this survey and then let's chat. And back then we had to fill it out with pencil and paper and fax it in. So I get on the phone with him afterwards, and I said, okay, well, what do I do? Because I'm like Jordan, I'm an action kind of guy. I want to know what to do. And he goes, well, the first thing you do is you go home and apologize to your wife. I'm like, what are you talking about? And he goes, you're a meat grinder, man. And as cliche as it sounds, I didn't understand that people didn't think like me. And I tried to force them to do it the way I wanted it done, to see it the way that I wanted to do it. And I just set people up for failure. I would hire people just like me and then ask them to do the things that I didn't like doing, thinking like maybe they would. So it kind of turned my life around, turned my business around. We were able to reduce turnover. It really grew the business. In fact, the office manager I have now has been with me a little over 9 years, so I did figure it out.
Now that is success.
Yeah, well, the wife didn't fare so well, so but I did learn. I got it in action, so hopefully this time I'm going to take what I learned and do better. But at any rate, so I got through the contracting business, really grew. We got into a recession here in the U.S. in 2008, which really took a toll in the construction world, and we were down about 30% staff getting through that recession. We weathered it, but it's 2009, 2010, and I was just kind of burned out. I didn't really have the passion to kind of revitalize it. And that gentleman I told you about, his name's Grant Masmanian. He told me, we're still friends today, he's a mentor of mine. he kept telling me, you're a natural at this. Like, this is like your calling. And I'm, whatever. So 2010, I said, you know what, maybe I'll try this consulting gig and see what happens, So I became certified as a certified professional behavioral analyst, hung out the kind of shingle, started a little website. By 2012, I had sold my contracting business and was consulting full time. And using the behavioral science, I was helping clients match people to the job. So I didn't do any interviewing, I didn't do any recruiting. It was just consulting. Did that, gosh, all the way up till maybe 2000. What would have been COVID was 2020, so maybe 2015, 16. Consulting pretty heavily. And my clients started to ask me, they said, "Hey, can you sit in on the interviews with us? Like, you always give us these great questions to ask. Can you just come in with us?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." My standard answer is, "Yeah, we do a lot of that." So I started joining my clients and helping them interview, growing and growing. And then they started to ask me, "Can you just recruit and find the people?" Of course we do. We do a lot of that. So we started recruiting. I didn't really know a lot about recruiting at the time, so I've kind of fumbled and figured it out as I went along. So that's kind of how I got into the recruiting world. And in 2000, let's see, so we're 2022, 23, recruiting became the biggest revenue line on the top of my P&L. So it's outpaced the consulting now. So we've got 3 recruiters, 2 candidate engagement specialists that help do researching. So we're and hoping to even grow this even more this year. So a bit of how I got there. It's a strange path, I know, but to go from contractor to
I love
consultant.
it. I mean, it's so interesting. I remember when we first met and you told me that story and how, you weren't a recruiter, you're a behavioral analyst, and actually you've moved into hiring because that's what your clients have asked you to do. And we've obviously been working on fine-tuning and refining the search process, and you've been upskilling yourself in search to complement that. And now, but the analyst side of it forms an integral part, like a non-negotiable part of the search process for you, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah, we've incorporated that. It's always been part of our hiring process. So we were that little piece of the process for our clients. Now, thanks to your help, we've got an entire recruiting process that incorporates our behavioral science process.
And for most people, for lots and lots of recruiters, particularly, contingent recruiters, I don't remember using any kind of assessment in contingent recruitment. Do you, George? Apart from like just, technical tests or things like
So
that?
I'm going to be totally honestly, like I didn't even always feel comfortable using it in retained.
Yeah, and I was going to say, even retained
Yeah,
consultants.
to answer your question, sorry, I kind of went off on a tangent. Absolutely not.
No,
Contingently, no. No, no,
no,
no.
no. And even retained consultants kind of, and I include myself in this, are wary of using assessments that add any kind of layer of complexity because they don't fully understand it and they're not sure what impact it's going to have, and they're not sure how to manage what the results might be or what it might instill in terms of doubt in their client. And I've always said, be careful, really. Be careful if you're introducing an assessment tool that you don't know how to use, and it can actually be more detrimental and do more
Yeah.
harm than good. And that's why I've always stuck to the real simplicity of basic competency interviews, to just have they done that before, yes or no type interview. And then I met you, and you since then have done work and sessions with the mastermind group. You've done a session with us as a team, and the power and the clarity and the confidence that knowing how to use those kind of tools gives you is a phenomenal asset in the hiring process. Almost like how could you manage without it, really, now when I look at what you guys do?
Well, I wouldn't run a search without it. Even when I hire internally for my own employees, I use the same process, same tools. I think a lot of recruiters are wary of it because they don't know how to use it. They don't understand it. They'd be like, let's say Jordan comes to me and says, "Man, I don't feel good." And I say, "Okay, well, I've got this MRI machine. How about I run you through it?" If I don't understand the tool, I'm not going to be able to help them. So I think without a good understanding of the tools and the science on how to use it, you can get yourself into trouble. And there's a lot of consultants that run around that, oh, I know about DISC, but they really don't understand how to match people to the role and the traits that are required, to be successful in jobs. I've been studying this. I think I told you in my story, I was introduced to this. It was actually the late 90s when I actually met Grant Masmanian. I've been working with this tool, and every day, even today, I still learn something new.
Mm.
It's not something you just pick up overnight. You got to be dedicated to it. But once you
Mm.
start to see it in action, especially if, and this is what I encourage people to do, is to find a niche, be a specialist. So we have a couple niches that we work in, and we have benchmarks we've created. We do a lot of executive search for CEO positions here in the States for a particular organization. We know what the benchmark is. So when my team is hiring and interviewing, we're still doing all those same things that we do as recruiters. We're just adding this layer into it with this benchmark, and it gives them confidence when they're interviewing and knowing that they've got the right candidate. They can go to the client and say, "Listen, we're not only the interview well, the competencies match, the resume matches. We've got this great behavioral match, these passions match, and they've got the right soft skills." So it sprinkles in another layer.
Yeah, I mean, you've given a very light touch on it there. Like, how would you feel about like talking us through like what part it plays in your process, like from because it starts right at the beginning with the briefing session with the client, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a firm believer if you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there, right? So when we start with that briefing, first thing we do is create the benchmark. We've got 55 different traits that we look at, behavioral traits, and we identify those top traits that are going to be required to the role. I know a lot of times we compare candidates against each other. I think that's a bad idea. Like, you can do that, and sometimes you get the cream of the crop, right? Rather than the cream of the crop. So we're always comparing candidates to the job, not to each other, if that makes sense. So that benchmark right in the beginning gives us that baseline. It's another level of interview questions that we are asking all throughout the recruiting process to make sure they're matching. Now, to your point, it does add another layer of work to it. So it's not like this tool replaces anything that any recruiter is doing. It's going to add another layer, another perspective. But the ROI of it is huge in terms
And
of
once you've identified with the client like those behavioral traits,
Mhm.
that creates a benchmark.
Mhm.
Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah.
And you'll go away then and identify, you'll carry out your search process, you map the market, you identify candidates that look to have the right fit for the brief location wise and all the basic criteria. And then you'll bring those candidates through an interview process.
Mhm.
And what does that look like for you? And at what stage does the assessment come in?
So we do a second set of interviews. So we'll do our phone screen. Well, first we do the resume review. We do a phone screen, then we do a first interview. If the candidates look promising there, then we give them the assessment, get them to a short list, and then we do one other interview after that to kind of touch base on any areas where we just feel like they haven't quite give us the clarity or the confidence yet in this area. We also look at the assessment compared to that benchmark, identify any gaps, and we'll probe in on those as well. I'll give you an example. Let's say we're hiring somebody to work with Jordan. I can tell you right now, we need a candidate with a high sense of urgency, without a doubt, right? We crush them if they don't have it. So if the assessment comes back and the individual is lower on a sense of urgency, it doesn't necessarily rule them out, but we know we need to have some conversation there to make sure that this either individual is going to be able to adapt or we can coach them in that area. So it's not we use these necessarily as a pass fail. It's just an investigative tool. It gives us areas to look into. Sometimes it validates what we've seen in the first interview or confirms what our gut was telling us. And other times it just opens up areas we might have missed.
And so have there been times that you have felt like, oh, this candidate's like a dead cert, and then actually the behavioural assessment has raised some major flags that have helped you avoid a bullet, or that have
Yeah, absolutely. It happens all the time. When people are on an interview, especially if they're got a lot of experience interviewing, and to be honest, some behavioral styles just interview really well. That doesn't mean they're a match to the job, right? Just because they've interviewed well. So I sometimes recruiters will come in and say, "I really like this person." I say, "That's great, but how do you know they fit the job?" Right? My clients will tell me that too. "Oh, we really like this person." Then we look at the results and I say, "No, they're very likable, but they don't have the analytical traits that's required for this role." Sometimes we hire for a client and say, "Listen, you're not going to connect well with this individual. What are you talking about? It's got a polar opposite behavioral style from you. However, this is what you need for this role." Right? And sometimes, just like I did, clients hire people like themselves. They hire people they like. And you go with the gut, it can lead to a disaster.
And you do a lot of work with, I mean, and I love it all because it is so intangible. A lot of the gut hiring that so many people do. Most recruiters, most hiring managers, yeah, I really like them. They're saying all the right things, so therefore I'll hire them. And I mean, just to give people listening some kind of context here, in terms of the success rate that you get of placing people, what does that look like for you? Like,
We are over 95% people that we put in positions in a 3-year period, which is
so that's
almost
phenomenal.
unbelievable. Like, I don't even want to
Is
say that number
unbelievable.
because I think people are going to make it up. I think I'm making it up. We've got we have one organization we're actually doing a new search for right now. Over these past 3 years, we've hired 10 people for them. 3 of them are now have worked their way up to a VP role. Two are in a VP, one is at a director level.
Wow.
So
Yeah, I knew it was phenomenal, and the way that not just the way that you're running the process, but your ability to be able to support the client through making what sometimes might feel like the wrong decision, but is actually the right decision, with the confidence and clarity that the behavioural assessments give you. But you also do a lot of work with teams as well. Like you did a session with us, which was brilliant, and we're bringing up in our 90-day meeting, and managed to plot us, and you plotted us kind of on a graph that showed how different we all are and where we all are, and importantly where our gaps are, and we now know where our needs are and our weak spots are.
yeah, a team, we need a lot of different behavioral profiles, behavioral styles on a team. We need some that are detail oriented, dot the I's, cross the T's. We need some that are outgoing. We need some that are visionary. We need some that are supportive. So teams can get lopsided. I think of a client here in Ohio that I'm working with. They're an engineering firm, and we plotted their team out in terms of the wheel and look at all their behavioral styles, and they were all on one side of the wheel, right? In terms of being analytical and detailed. In fact, you walk into this organization, Louise, I swear they measure the distance between the tape and the stapler on their desk. Like, it's precision. But they don't have any work. They're struggling because nobody's out there promoting, right? So we can use the same tool to identify where gaps are on the team. Same thing when we're creating that benchmark. We will put the benchmark and compare it to the team if we have all the data of the team. Sometimes it's a nice add-on. If somebody is really wants to hit a home run, we can say, let's survey the team, see where your gaps are on the team, and then see how this benchmark is going to fit in there. So it goes a lot deeper than just the hiring. It's a consultative approach, right? Which, to be honest, sets us apart because nobody else is doing it.
Yeah. I mean, in all the years that I've been working in this industry, coaching now, and doing what we're doing, and the hundreds, thousands of recruiters that I've met, I have never met anybody doing it like you with the level of understanding and depth.
Mm.
And it's absolutely incredible. Like it was quite revolutionary for you, George. You were quite frightened to begin with when
Yeah, when I first got my report that Jess kindly did for me, I looked at it and thought, oh my God, I'm an arsehole. I was, oh, is this true? Surely it's not true. But thankfully, Jess managed to kind of walk me through it and explain what it all means.
Yeah.
And just looking at our team, the thing that blew my mind is that there were people that I work with every single day, really closely with. And I thought I knew them so well. Yet now I have the understanding I have on how they would like to approach a situation is completely 180 to where I thought it was.
yeah.
And if I didn't have that visibility and that knowledge now, I could have spent the next 5 years managing someone in the wrong way, communicating in the wrong way.
Yeah, totally. I mean, one of the big ones for me was Charlie. Like
Yeah, that's
I
exactly who I'm thinking of, by the way.
I always like assume because she goes, yeah, no problem, got it. I'll do that, and she goes away. I didn't realize that actually, without all of the information and a deadline and complete clarity of what it is that she needs to be able that we want her to do, she goes away and absolutely panics.
Yeah. Right, right.
And I didn't know. Now I know that if I'm looking for Charlie to help us with something, I want to know that she's got all the information that she needs and she feels comfortable with it, rather than going, here you go, here's a bit, fill in the rest, see you later. And I didn't know that that was like really stressing her out. And she's there going, that's my worst nightmare.
Right. See, so your style, you thrive under that pressure, especially
Yeah, we
George.
do. Yeah.
So, it's that golden rule. We try to treat people the way we want to be treated. I believe the platinum rule is to treat other people the way they want to be treated.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
you've heard a
Yeah.
million
It's
times,
brilliant.
people don't quit their jobs. They usually quit their managers,
It's
right?
funny
Because
as well because, and this might have had nothing to do with it, and I won't go into what the task was, but when Lee went away before Christmas, she gave me something to kind of look after, which I probably normally wouldn't have had.
Mhm.
I don't think, or maybe in the past, and I was like, this is great, this is exciting, this is new. Like this is something for me to get stuck into.
Yeah. I did based on the assessment we did as a team and knowing Geordie even better. I
Mm.
gave him a piece that ordinarily I would have kept myself, but I thought this is something that I can see he would really enjoy doing and reaching a resolution on. And
Mm.
so he's the best person in the team to do it. And I wouldn't
Yeah.
have known that. I would not have known that.
Mhm.
And then you set us an exercise, didn't you, to do at our 90-day meeting?
Yeah, I'm a firm believer we all listen to a radio station, WIFM, which stands for What's in It for Me, right? And we communicate on this frequency. And if we want to really communicate with someone, we've got to dial into their frequency. Because the interesting thing is we can change how we give communication, but we can't change how we receive it. So if I want to communicate to Charlie, if I'm going to communicate to Jordan, I've got to adapt. Now, Jordan and I have very similar styles, so I can communicate and be myself. We're going to be on the same wavelength. But if I'm communicating with a different style, I've got to adapt. So we have a section in the report for every individual. There's a customized list of do's and don'ts on communication. So I really encourage teams to sit down with those pages, take a half an hour, and look through that list, pick your top two do's on communicating and top two or three don'ts on communicating, and then go around, round robin style with the team and share those with each other. You'll really be surprised at how different people are.
Yeah, do you
Yeah.
remember Lee, when I first joined Retrained? So this happened just kind of organically, right? When I first joined Retrained, after about 3 months, Lou sat down with me and said, you have to stop calling Sarah. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, she's like, well, Sarah's very different to you in how she works. Like Sarah, like gets in the zone. She's very methodical. It's like emails. I'll deal with that then and then that. And I'm just like, I'll just pick up the phone and call you, and then we'll have like a 40-second conversation, and then it's done. And then I'll hang up, and then I'll pick up the phone to the next person. I'm just kind of all over the place.
Mhm.
And what I thought was just me being proactive was like really hindering somebody else.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, it was driving her insane. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
And that's like a classic example. Like for you and me, George, we'll just pick up the phone and we think that's friendly and a nice, pleasant distraction from whatever we're doing. And we'll take time out and have a bit of a chat and make a coffee. And for Sarah, it's just the worst thing that could possibly happen because it interrupts her flow. And it's
Mm.
such a good example. And knowing that, just that simple thing, knowing that can just change the dynamic and the effectiveness of the relationship between two people, can't it?
absolutely. You know, the interesting thing about the introvert extrovert is introverts kind of get a bad rap, but part of it is the what we call the cognitive activity in the brain. Introverts have a lot of cognitive activity. So when people come around them, it adds stress to them. Like they've already got all these things going on in their mind, and now we add people to it, and they get uncomfortable. Extroverts, believe it or not, have lower cognitive activity. So they have space for when people come in, they can engage, you know.
Uh,
So you put that in terms of the report and somebody that's introverted or needs to get to the work first, and we try to make small talk with them, it like short circuits. It causes
yeah.
anxiety.
Yeah. 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 And actually, like if I look at me and Sarah, we've probably kind of both come in the middle.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like there's now times that she'll just pick up the phone and call me because that's what I want. And
Yeah.
there's times where I'll drop her an email and say, "Don't worry, just get to this whenever you want to."
Yeah.
You just kind of figure it out organically, but actually it's taken us probably 2 years to get to that stage.
Yeah. Well, and the process that we've gone through, like with you,
Yeah.
Jess, in a couple of hours has catalyzed like the
Mm.
and our success. And we're gonna do that exercise together in our 90-day meeting and keep working on getting better at understanding and we have identified the gap at the moment that we have in the team, and we're going to work through what we're going to do about that and how we can rebalance us as a team. It's phenomenal, really. I love it. Absolutely love it. I love what you do.
Well,
For
thank
those
you.
people listening, this is probably a good time um, to share if people are interested in Jess's. This isn't why we've brought him in, by the way, to promote his services. We wanted to share with you some of the insights and how interesting this is and how helpful it can be for clients, for your service, differentiating yourself, whatever tool you choose to use or however you might want to do that. But if you do want to talk to Jess, he does train in behavioural analysis and uses a fabulous tool. How can people get hold of you, Jess, if they are interested in it?
Two ways. My website, successfulhiring.com, and they can email me Jess, Jess, at successfulhiring.com.
Nice.
You've
I'll
got
let,
one potential customer on the way, Jess, because my wife now is absolutely sick of it. Because whenever I'm told off for the way I acted in a situation at home, I'm saying, well, Jess has told me this is completely normal. And this
yeah,
is
yeah.
exactly what you
Tell
should
it.
expect with someone off my profile. And she's like, right, I want to do one of these profiles so I can defend myself too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Tell her to give me a call, Jordan. I'll give her some tips on exactly how to do it. You know,
It was
because
funny when we were away at the event because we did our 2 day, didn't we, in London in December, and then we had dinner on the second night, and we're sat around the table, and Jess did share lots of stuff at the event. And we're around the table as completely different people, and straight away, like little things like we walk into this restaurant and straight away Tara's like, oh yes, yeah, this is good. I'm okay. Oh yeah, perfect table. Yeah, she's happy. And Jess is already like measuring people up. And then she says something else like further down the night, and he's like, well, yeah, but that suits you because you're what was she like an aesthetic or something like
she's
that?
high on the aesthetic passion. Yeah. So two things we look at. One is the behavioral traits, how people do what they do. Another area we look at is why they do what they do. This is where engagement happens. So we all have these intrinsic motivators, these intrinsic passions. I believe motivating people is somewhat of a myth, right? You just find people who are motivated to do what we're doing and you hire them. And we're all, again, have these different passions, these different motivators. Hers is the aesthetic passion. So she's driven for creativity and harmony. She is very in tune to how things feel. So when she goes into a restaurant, she has to find a place where she sits that feels comfortable, right? So that happens to be my lowest. Jordan, I'm looking at your graph, it's your lowest too. So like I can eat a hot dog over the sink out of the microwave and it's dinner. You know what I mean? Like, but for a high aesthetics, they have to enjoy, it's like an experience.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So,
and straight away, like Tara's like, yeah, that is
yeah.
enjoying Lou's crisp white shirt, and I'm like, I'm low on the aesthetic too. Like it doesn't matter too much. I drink out of jam jars. Like I'm not bothered with stuff like that. So which my dad kind of curses me for. But it was so funny how you haven't even done the assessment with Tara, I don't think, or maybe you have.
I don't
Did you?
think I
No, I
no,
didn't
I don't
think
think I had heard. I just kind of there were some traits
you're
I
just
picked up.
weighing people up so
Yeah.
quickly.
Well, I remember
Yeah.
Jess said we were sitting in the pub after the last day, and Jess said the thing is like he said, Jordan, you and Tara are both really motivated. He said, but like Tara's motivated because she likes nice things, right? Like she likes the experience. You don't necessarily like the nice things. You just want nice things so people know you're successful. I was like, yes, Jess knows me.
Well, I wasn't going to say that here on the podcast, Jordan, but since you brought it up, yeah.
Well, like we said at the start, nothing's off limits. Like there's, we are who we are. There's not hiding anything here, so it's all good.
Well, Jordan's driven by achievement, but here's the thing: he's very fair. Like he's a win-win thinker. He's not the kind of guy that's going to like win at somebody else's cost. You know what I mean? He wins by seeing other people win.
Yeah,
that's what's really cool about his style.
Which
by the way, that's the culture of the retrained search. Is you guys win by helping other people win. I don't know if a lot of people know that, but it's your DNA.
Yeah, it is. It's really an incredible thing to do.
It is funny, isn't it? Because we'll have like an amazing month, let's say our record month, and we'll go, oh, that's good. And then a customer will send us an email saying they've like won a retained project, and we're like, yes, it's in the group and emails, and it's like that's what fuels us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it totally is. It really is. That is where the fire comes from, isn't it? Yeah, so we're going to be seeing. Go on, Jess. Sorry.
I was going to say real quick, how cool is it when you're working with a client doing a recruiting project and you can tell them, I understand your culture. Here it is on paper, and we're going to hire people that fit this culture. It's magical.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Because you are a member of our mastermind group. That you are running your 3-day training course for us at our next in-person mastermind event, which is going to be in Palma de Mallorca in Spain in June. And I'm already ridiculously excited about it. I cannot wait. Like Mallorca is one of my happy places, if not my happiest place. And to be there with all of you lot and to spend 3 days learning all about this stuff with you, Jess, is going to be an absolute joy. I can't wait. And for any of those of you listening the mastermind group is only for those of you that are already retained or majority retained. The doors are closed at the moment. We're not accepting new members yet, but we will be opening the doors in the next quarter. So you're welcome to apply or send an expression of interest, and we'll keep you on a list in preparation if this is the kind of stuff that you're interested in for your search process.
Yeah, and as well as Jess's great 3-day session, I am going to take you all to the best tapas restaurant.
Are you?
Oh, it's insane.
Is it?
Oh, honestly, I just.
I
was on death row and I was asked what's my last meal, this place is the place I'm going.
And I've got a little bike ride up my sleeve. My favorite bike ride in all the world. It's not strenuous. It's not difficult. It's open to all abilities. It's completely flat, but it is the best bike ride / bar crawl you'll ever go on. So we're going to do that as well.
Sounds like a dangerous bike ride if it's mixed with a bar crawl.
We're going to have such a good time.
Well, you two are going to have to send me a list of things I need to do while I'm there.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah. That sounds great.
Yeah, it is. It's an awesome place. What do we need to talk about?
I think it's just mindset normally, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah,
Well, we
yeah. I
kind of
think
did that at the start. I just want to talk about the positivity. Like, I honestly, I think, I feel like things are picking up.
yeah. I felt like towards the end of last year, not only did I feel, I suppose, like I'd given everything I had, and I was ready for a break. I think we all were, but everybody that I was talking to was, and it had been
Yeah.
such a difficult year.
Yeah.
We really had to work hard last year to get what we did get from it. And I feel like already this year, everybody, I can't think of an exception. And okay, I've only probably done 7 or 8 coaching calls so far this year, maybe a little bit more. But every person has either, opened their email to 2 projects like you did,
Yeah.
or got the green light on 6 roles like Gemma has, or got a brand new client in from some business development activity.
No, but not even just that though, Lou. Some of them I think have just they're reinvigorated.
Mm,
They might maybe haven't come back with 3 projects sitting in their emails. Maybe they've just come back and thought, I'm done with last year's shit now.
yeah,
Fresh year, fresh start,
yeah,
head down. I'm gonna do it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's what we want to leave you with. Like this is I think sometimes Robbie Williams' take on life is questionable. But he did write a nice little message for this year saying, like, this year is a blank. You've got a blank page, 365 days of blank pages. Like, write your story, write your best story. It's up to you. So there's glimmers of hope, glimmers of green shoots, of lovely projects. There's work out there, there's clients hiring. Don't sit and feel like it's not there, because it is. And we just want to give everybody the positivity and good vibes and energy to actually go and get it. And as soon as you start doing that, then that will feed more energy and more positivity, and you'll be rolling. And if you want a pep talk, or you want to talk to us, then as always, our diary's online on our website. Just book in and we'll spread the love, spread the joy, give you some positivity and give you a pep talk and get you set in the right direction.
And you get to be a part of a community with more wonderful people like Jess.
Yes.
Well, I can tell you as an entrepreneur and a business owner and a recruiter, sometimes you can feel like you're on an island by yourself, but you join a group like you guys have put together, and you just touch base with like-minded individuals, and you see the successes they're having, and success breeds success. So even if you are having a slump, you get around people that can get you in that right mindset. It just kind of happens through osmosis, and it can be a game changer.
Yeah.
You just. Thank you. Thank you very much, George. Thank you very much,
Lou,
Jess.
as always. Thank
Enjoy
you, guys.
everyone out there. Lovely to see you, and we'll see you in the next episode, George.
Here's to a successful 2024.
Here's to a successful 2024.
I'm excited for it. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Jess.
Thanks, Jess.
Well, that's another episode of Retrain Search, the podcast in the bag. Thanks for listening to our wild tales, LinkedIn controversies, and our top tips on how to sell and deliver retained search. Get involved in our next episode. Send in your questions and share your experiences with us by emailing podcast@retrainedsearch.com. And don't be shy. Connect with us on LinkedIn and come and say hi. We don't bite. Unless you're a Shrek firm, that is. We want to say a special thank you to our retrained members for sharing what's working for them right now and innovating new ways to grow and evolve. It's an incredible community. If you're wondering what exactly we mean when we mention our communities, well, we have 2 separate programs. Our Search Foundations program is for recruiters who want to learn how to sell and deliver retained search solutions consistently. And we have our Search Mastery program. That's for business leaders or owners already at 50% retained or more and looking to scale and grow and structure their search firm. We cap memberships to these programs to protect the integrity of the community. If you want access, just talk to us. Okay, thanks for listening. We'll be back very soon with another episode of Retrain Search, the podcast.